They dug a trench behind their perfect yards, poured concrete in the dark, and sent a storm straight through my crops. By dawn, my corn was knee-deep in brown water, bent and broken like fallen soldiers. I thought HOA rules only meant letters in the mailbox and threats about paint colors, but this time they'd turned the weather itself into a weapon. I'm Daniel Carter, a retired Marine, not a lawyer, not a politician, just a man with 5 acres that have carried my family's name for 3 generations. That land isn't just dirt to me, it's my father's sweat, my late wife Emily's wildflowers, the only steady ground I've ever had. Across the hedges sits Maple Ridge, all vinyl fences and manicured lawns, and the queen bee over there, Karen Wallace, HOA board member, the type who once filed a complaint because my tractor was too ugly to be visible from the road, the type who told my grandkids their lemonade stand might need a business license. After that storm, I followed the new river uphill and found it a fresh gutter behind Karen's shed sloped perfectly to send runoff downhill onto my land. Not toward the county retention basin where it had drained for 20 years, but toward me. I confronted her. She stood on her porch in a silk robe, coffee in hand, acting like she was the victim. I pointed at the trench. "You did this." She smiled and said, "Looks like your soil isn't as healthy as it used to be. Drainage is a community issue, Daniel. You should have attended the meeting." I'd dealt with insurgents in Afghanistan who had more decency than that woman. I walked back through my drowned field and told myself she'd declared war, and she just didn't know it yet. The next day I put on my work gloves not to farm, but to document. I filmed the flooded rows, photographed every angle of the gutter. County records showed no permits. My buddy Marcus, another Marine, now a hydrology tech, came by and crouched at the gutter. "This isn't homeowner handiwork," he said. "Rebar, slope, math. Someone got paid, and if it's without a permit, they're liable." I went to the HOA meeting with the evidence. Karen stood at the front with President Ronald Pierce, a man who thought he was running for mayor of a town that never voted. She announced proudly, "We recently completed a drainage project for community safety." I stood up. "Funded by who? No permits were filed. You funneled runoff straight into my field." The room murmured. Pierce cleared his throat. "This isn't a courtroom," I shot back. "It is when your decisions destroy my livelihood." Karen's smile cracked just for a second. But they didn't back down. 2 days later, I found a note taped to my gate, "Cease trespassing. Maple Ridge HOA." Then came a letter signed by Pierce himself accusing me of excessive water retention and unsightly agricultural damage visible from HOA property. They flood me and then fine me. I should have laughed, but instead I felt something sink inside me. The rain kept coming and every storm stripped more of my field. I tried to save the crops, but the mud won. Emily's wildflowers disappeared under silt. My chicken coop washed half loose. One evening I just sat in the muck with Ranger at my side and thought maybe I'm the fool here. Maybe I should have sold when the developer offered. Maybe I'm an old man clinging to dirt that doesn't want me anymore. I'd fought battles overseas, but here at home I felt powerless. That's when I saw a public notice posted at the county clerk's office. A drainage permit stamped the same week the trench appeared parcel 14A, Karen's lot, signed by county engineer Albert Crow. Only problem, Crow retired months earlier. I texted Marcus. He dug up Crow's last real signatures. We compared them, different curves, mechanical loops. Marcus looked at me and said flatly, "It's a forgery." That was the moment the fog lifted. This wasn't me being paranoid. This was fraud, and they'd been dumb enough to leave fingerprints all over it. I carried the evidence to Senior Inspector Linda Morgan, a woman known for tearing HOA bullies apart. She studied the files, then smiled without warmth. "Unauthorized water diversion. Forged permit. This isn't just civil Mr. Carter, it's criminal." She launched a formal investigation, scheduled a hearing, and told me they're going to wish they never touched a single stone. The night before the hearing, the storm returned. Sheets of rain hammered the trench, the runoff roaring like artillery. I stood at the ridge, soaked, watching the water cut deeper and deeper. Then I saw it, a hairline crack in the channel behind Karen's fence. The earth shuddered, the concrete snapped, and with a roar the bank collapsed. A sinkhole swallowed her backyard, her shed, half her basement wall. I didn't cheer. I just stood there, rain dripping from my jacket as her scream carried through the night. By morning, the block was wrapped in yellow tape. Emergency crews swarmed. Karen stood on her lawn in a foil blanket, pale and hollow. Pierce shouted into his phone, waving his arms at everyone but the slope where the water had come from. The truth was naked now. Nature had reset the boundary they'd tried to erase. At the hearing, Linda laid out 2 documents on the projector. Here is Mr. Crow's verified signature from January, and here is the one submitted in March after his retirement. He has sworn under oath that he did not sign this. The silence was heavier than any storm. Linda declared, "This drainage project was unauthorized, executed on fraudulent documentation, and subject to both civil penalties and criminal charges." Karen's face drained of color. Pierce slumped in his chair. Their lawyer tried to spin it as an oversight, but nobody listened. I walked out without looking back. The HOA was finished. Pierce resigned. The city ordered restitution for my crop losses and full removal of the illegal trench. Karen's house, half caved in, was declared unsafe. She sold what was left for salvage and slipped out of town. That's where my story ends. Not with champagne, not with banners, just with the image of a trench crumbled into rubble and a woman's kingdom swallowed by the very water she tried to weaponize. Some people think HOA fights are about paint colors or mailbox height. But the truth is simpler. When someone messes with your roots, you stand. Because land remembers and water always finds its way home.